YouTube, how you doing? Murph here, bringing you another product review. Today's review is going to be on the Turtle Beach Recon controller. This is a newer controller put out by Turtle Beach, and it's got a couple of unique features, especially on the audio side of things. Now, we're going to talk about the specifications and the features and all of that, but as usual, we're going to start off by talking about the design and build quality. And the build quality here is pretty good. Keep in mind that this is a $60 controller, so this is not designed to compete with things like the Elite Series 2 and the Scuff Instinct Pro, the Scuff Prestige, all of that. This is not designed to compete with $150+ controllers. This is definitely more of a budget option. So the build quality is certainly not going to be quite as good as those, but in terms of a $60 controller, the build quality feels good. This is a very light controller, and I feel that that might make it feel like it's a little bit on the cheaper side, but there's no internal battery here and there is no battery compartment for batteries. This is a wired only controller, so that helps reduce some of the weight. So this is a little bit of a lighter controller, but it's very in line with what you would expect from like the standard Xbox controller that comes with the new consoles. As far as the joysticks are concerned, there's a nice amount of resistance on those. Everything is very clicky and tactile. Same thing with the X, Y, A, and B buttons. They all feel really good. Same thing with the middle buttons here. Now, when it comes to the D-pad here, it does feel a little cheap. It's a little too mushy for my taste. It's not terrible. I've felt worse, but it's definitely one of the cheaper feeling parts about this controller. The triggers up top feel pretty good. They feel a little bit hollow, but again, not bad at all. And the triggers and the bumpers both have this textured material on top that feels really nice as well. It definitely helps you to grip the controller. The bumpers, along with the D-pad, also feel a little bit mushy. Is it terrible? No, but it is something to make note of. I would like to see these a little bit more tactile. I don't feel like there's enough feedback in these bumpers. And one of the things we'll talk about in a moment, one of the features are these back buttons, but these back buttons here feel very nice as well. Overall, as a total package, the build quality feels pretty good, especially again at that $60 price point. Now, speaking to the design of this controller, it's what you can expect from a standard Xbox controller. It's about the same size, and it feels like it's roughly the same weight as a standard Xbox controller. And all of the buttons that you're accustomed to are here as well. Now, they market these grips as being like a cooling grip. I don't notice that they're any cooler than any other controller on the market. They're not really doing much to keep my hands cool, but it is nice that they have a little bit of a textured grip here on the outside and inside of these handles to help you grip the controller. Again, on top, the right and left triggers have a textured material as well. And as far as everything else is concerned, you're getting everything you would get on a standard Xbox controller with two important differences. One are the two paddles on the back. That's a welcome change. I really wish that both Xbox and PlayStation would start just putting these paddles on the back of their controllers to begin with. In this day and age, there's really no reason not to, but you do get that here, and they're surprisingly good. They're very tactile. They also have kind of a textured material similar to the triggers up top that help you grip the controller and help your fingers not to slide off of those two back buttons. And their placement is really good as well. It's very natural to press those two back buttons. And then the other important difference that you'll notice between this and a standard Xbox controller is this audio portion up here. And these are a bunch of different audio controls. And it's very similar to what Turtle Beach has put out in the past. This is an onboard audio DAC that you could kind of plug into the bottom of a controller, and you would get the super hearing function, you would get mic monitoring and game presets. You can control the volume of the game independently from the volume of the chat, and you can mute yourself. It was very good, very functional. And in the earlier days of the Xbox controllers, this was a great device, and they've implemented this now into the top of the controller here. Now you'll notice up top these 5 light up sections up here. Now on the left side of this little audio section, you can control the game volume. On the right hand side, you can control the chat volume. So just like this old DAC, you can control the game and chat volume independently of each other. You've also got some other pretty cool features here. Now the buttons in the middle, for mode, this allows you to select, and you can see them light up top, which mode you're selecting between. And then once you select a specific mode, you can use the select button and you'll see these 4 kind of diamond shaped areas up here. This is how you select the options within each mode. And you can see up top, this headset looking button is the mic monitoring. The one next to it are your EQ settings. This has, I think, 4 different EQ settings already built in so that you can change those if you're hooked up to your Xbox. You don't typically have EQ settings that come specifically on a controller or in the Xbox software, so this allows you to control that. The controller button up here is the button mapping. This allows you to map the back buttons. And on the right hand side, you will notice the Pro Aim Focus mode, which is a specific mode where you can use the back buttons to actually decrease the sensitivity of the joysticks. For example, when you're aiming down sight. So if you're sniping, you can actually decrease the sensitivity when you're zoomed in, and that can help you with aim. And then within each of these sections, you can see these 4 diamond areas. You can use the select button to just let you know which selection you're within that mode. And it comes with this easy, quick manual here that can explain that further and help you get the right settings. And it also comes with more in-depth help in this manual, and this can help you really dial in those settings to do whatever you need to do with this controller, because it can be just a bit confusing using this area up top, especially at first, but that will help you out and you should have no real issues using this controller. The other 2 buttons up here that you'll see, one is a mute button. That's convenient. It's not going to light up right now because I don't have anything plugged into the bottom, but the mute button is right there on the right, and on the left is their Super Hearing Mode button. Turtle Beach's Super Hearing Mode is something that they've featured for a while now, and it's designed to kind of increase those high-end audio cues, things like footsteps, reloading, things like that, to really help you pinpoint where people are on a map. And it's really good for competitive play. I personally don't use it a lot. I find that while it does work well, it does allow you to hear footsteps a little bit more clearly and from further away. What I find is that it decreases the overall audio quality just a bit. And what I found is that I'd rather hear the footsteps and the reload sounds as well as have good audio quality than to hear those footsteps and other things a little bit louder and give up the audio quality. But if you're in the middle of a match and you hit that super hearing button, it does help quite a bit. Does it work? Yes. Do I tend to use it? Not really. I think a lot of people are actually just going to leave that off. But if you're really trying to get every competitive edge possible, that super hearing mode can help you out just a little bit. Now, overall, would I recommend you buy this controller? I think the answer is yes, specifically for certain groups of people, right? So if you're somebody who is looking for an aftermarket controller with the buttons on the back and all of that, and you don't have the money to spend on a more expensive controller, something like a Scuff or a Microsoft Elite, or if you just don't want to spend that kind of money, because let's face it, those are very expensive controllers, and the durability on some of those higher end controllers can be a little questionable for the amount of money that you're paying. This is a great option for you. You're getting those 2 back buttons, and you're also getting almost this onboard audio DAC for a significantly cheaper price. Another group of people I would recommend this for is anybody looking to replace their original Xbox controller. This is about the price of a new standard Xbox controller, but you're getting additional features, things like those back buttons, which are very important these days, especially if you play any kind of competitive shooter. These can really improve the way you play those games. And again, you're getting this onboard audio system up here. So especially if you play on Xbox and not PC, where you don't typically get a lot of those audio options, this can give those to you, and it can do so at an affordable price. If you're not somebody who needs the wireless feature of a standard Xbox controller, I think you would be crazy to get a normal Xbox controller over this. They're roughly the same price. The build quality is going to be fairly similar. I think the bumpers and the D-pad are going to be just a little bit better on the original controller, but not by a significant margin. And you're just getting a little bit more with this than a standard Xbox controller. So if you fall into one of those 2 categories, I think this would be a great option for you, and I would recommend buying this controller. And that wraps up this video. I hope you guys found this useful and helpful. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. If you guys want to see other content like this, like product reviews, gaming accessory reviews, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you can be notified of when I post new content, and YouTube, we'll catch you later.